Hello to all my friends out there. Hi, you guys. Well, here I am again in Southern California. It's very, very hot, extremely. Today, I was up at the shopping center doing my 2 hours of walking, and I was on the way home, driving home after my walk. And I was thinking, wow, you know, there has never been a time in history like the time we're living in right now. And I thought, I am going to do a video. I hope everyone is doing okay. I hope everyone is being careful, really careful. So I want to talk to you guys. And a while back, I changed my channel so it was like you're in my kitchen, such that it is, with me. And if you have anything you would like to chat back to me, please leave it in the comments. Try to be a little bit nice if possible, because on this channel we try to lift each other up, but you don't have to agree with what I'm saying, and chances are a lot of it you won't, and that is fine, because if you make your case in a civil way, there's a possibility I will change my mind, and so will my followers. So, right now, we could be headed for a recession, a depression, or a famine. Strongly possible, maybe worldwide. But in the U.S., I don't know about other places in the world, even the poorest person has access to food and pretty much medical. And so far, I don't think the evictions have, I'm sure people have been evicted. But anyway, never in history before any kind of a famine or food shortage were people given time to prepare. Like, I thought of two examples. The potato famine and the Great Depression. Okay, at this time, if you are really, really poor, you can go to the food banks, you can go to the food pantries, you can go to more than one, you can get food stamps, and you can pile your house full of food, and you should. Also, we can still get some foods really, really kind of cheap, and I will go into that in a minute. And so, at no other time previous to a famine or a food shortage were people given access to food to prepare. I told you guys about my friend, and I was willing to take her to the pantries and the food banks, as many as she was willing to go to, and ultimately she wasn't willing to go to any. And then, you know, I started this this list of pantries and stuff because I knew a guy who was bit by a brown recluse spider here. And just a note, we should all have medicinal charcoal, not briquettes, but charcoals. And if you make a paste out of that with water and put it on a bite, it will draw the poison out. But it almost killed him. He was in the hospital and he got home, and the kid said, "Dad, when will we have food?" And he said, "I guess the next time I get paid," which was like in 2 weeks. But at this time here in La Mesa, when I was sick, I went to 2 pantries. And you guys have heard me say it, that's better food than I have eaten my entire life. So if you are poor, get yourself the food now, because we can't be 100% sure what is going to happen. Strongly possible there could be food shortages. What we want to do is we want to watch China, because when it came to the coronavirus, the Chinese were about 3 months ahead of us. And then we want to watch Europe. Okay, if food shortages start hitting Europe, that's when we know it could be really, really not good. Another thing is we're very close to the border of Mexico, and from what I've heard, there are some food shortages in Mexico. I don't know how severe, and they'll be trying to get into this country if they can when the food shortages get bad enough. But never at a time in history were people given time and access to food before shortages. A lot of the pastors are saying God is giving you a year to prepare. Okay, if you haven't prepared yet, starting now, I think tomorrow is Monday, I'm not sure. You can start going to those pantries and getting the food every day if you can get there. If you can't, you can call 211 and try to get food. So never in history has there been chances to get food like there is now. Okay, now a lot of people have been through wars like me. I've been through the Vietnam War and I've been through the Gulf War. And now some people call this a trade war we're having with China. Basically, you could say a war. So now where am I going with this? Possibly the coronavirus was an attack on the American people, and millions of people will die, including their own, including they want to spread it all over the entire world, and they did. And so as far as wars go, there has never been a war that we had a chance to survive war better than this. My ex-husband was in the 101st Airborne in Vietnam. That was not a good way to survive, but he did survive, praise God. Otherwise I wouldn't have my son. But it wasn't a good way to survive. Now we got this war with China, and we have the coronavirus. The government has done everything to preserve the people, like checks, like food, access to food. Has it been good? No, but if you think about it, it's a war. There's never been a better chance to survive a war. I was working in Santee during the Gulf War, and one of my customers was a doctor, and he happened to be a virologist, and he was determined to go to Iraq and serve. And his wife was horrified. He goes, I have to. That is not healthy either. One of my friend's sons got a high fever in Iraq. I don't know how that guy survived. But this war is different. Are people dying? Yes. Okay, so now to avoid this war, the coronavirus, we have to avoid personal contact. We have to stay in the house. We have to be careful. We don't want to do that. But is it as bad as parachuting into a war zone? We have to wear a mask when we're in public. That's not asking too much. In a lot of places, if you don't have a mask, they'll give you a mask. Preferably wear gloves, but if you don't have any or you refuse to wear them, you can wash your hands. And in Walmart, they give you sanitizer. Also, in the Walmart I go to, since the beginning of the pandemic, it's all the same clerks. And the McDonald's too. So I figure this is a pretty safe store. When it first started, I had no way of knowing that. And we are asked to socially distance to survive this virus. Okay, so no. A lot of people know that during the Spanish flu, which it was deadly, a lot of people died. Possibly it was brought in by the military. Possible this too. But they didn't have the good information to tell them, like we do, that the second deadly wave was caused by a big crowd in a parade. So what we will want to do in this war, so we don't catch the coronavirus, is we will stay out of big crowds, out of mobs, out of things that make it impossible to socially distance for our survival, to survive the war. Now, when my ex-husband was in the Vietnam War, if you said, would you like to go through the trade war and, you know, sequester in your home and, you know, and he would have said, oh yeah, sure. That was a deadly war, but this is a deadly war. Think about all the people that have died. This is a trade war. Okay, what has this trade war done? Well, it's messed us up financially, but we can only be as strong as each individual family is willing to be. Okay, a word about these riots and protests. Is it worth it to get shot, to get clubbed in the head, to get arrested, to catch the coronavirus? It's very catchy. Everyone I know who's had it has given it to the entire family, no matter how careful they were. So let's start thinking about this as a war, a trade war. I mean, we've had a lot of things like the Hornets. Hopefully they were all killed in the fire that showed up, I think it was in Washington, and other stuff. It is a war, you guys. So what we want to do is we want to say, okay, in this war, we have a fighting chance of survival. We have a fighting chance if a famine is coming. So I want to do everything to cause myself not to lose any ground financially, like getting the coronavirus. Also, if you're getting a check from the government in any form, you should be praising God. Because in times gone by now you would have literally been starving. Okay, so that's what I wanted to say about that. Also, if you have a differing view, we would like to hear it. Preferably, I hope the comments could be a little bit civil. Okay, now, the trade war. Okay, now, in the Bible, there is a story, and the story is about 10 wise virgins that stored oil, and 10 foolish virgins that did not. The foolish virgins were foolish because they did not store oil. And this story always stuck with me because the foolish virgins went to the wise virgins and said, give us some oil. And the wise virgins said no. And I thought, wow, you know, they were moral, but they're kind of hard-hearted. Okay, there has been some prophecies about this coming food shortage. And the prophecy went something like this. And I never really thought of this way. I was thinking about this. And in this prophecy, the guy said people would be sitting outside of the stores, and as the people came out of the stores with groceries, they said, give us some food. Not, could you please give me $1? It was like a demand for the food. This is kind of like the story of the foolish virgins. They probably were really hungry. One of the followers left a good comment that during World War II, there was no oil. Now, this is something you want to stockpile. I like to stockpile shortening and lard myself because oil too, though. So let me close this so that somebody doesn't, you know, there's copyright laws, you know. So, okay, so there was a demand for these items, the oil. They probably really needed the oil, like the people are really going to need the food. So, and we can't really know 100% what might happen. So I want to encourage all my followers, I don't care how poor you are, get food. And another thing is, If you don't have that much money, get food that's not horribly expensive so you will have food. Okay, now. Okay, I want to talk to you about meat. Yesterday I went to Walmart and they have 10 chicken patties for $5.50 each. And I checked today when I was up there and they have 20 hamburger patties, partial soy, for $10. So for $15 you can get 30 portions of meat. If you don't have much money, I would suggest doing that. Hot dogs, I bought one for $1. Chorizo, one for $1. Pork sausage, I bought 2, one maple, one original, and a package of bologna. So that is a total of $20. I usually stockpile chicken, bacon ends, and hamburger. Okay, and then you want to stock up on flour, on yeast, and on salt. And Walmart did have yeast, but I bought big packages of yeast at Smart and Final. And then you want to stockpile milk, powdered milk or evaporated milk. Okay, now where did I write this? This was the whole crux of this. Okay, I ran into a woman one time and she said, if you never want to run out of food, buy chicken, rice, and beans. Chicken is still pretty cheap, you guys. I would pile my freezer full of any kind of chicken I could get. Probably chicken legs is probably the best. Then you guys have all heard about rice, beans, and vegetables. Now, when I was a kid, my grandmother had a room in the back, and there was a wood counter that my grandfather had built, and it was full of seeds. And what she would do is she would save all of the seeds out of their food. They would plant them, and then my grandfather would sell the food on the side of the road. And so beans, rice, and vegetables will get you by. So you might say, well, would I want chicken or would I want vegetables? Well, it's hard to say because the vegetables are generating seeds. And start saving all your seeds, whether you need them or not, just in case you ever need them. Okay, so hamburger and chicken. Okay, so now I want to talk to you about stockpiles. Okay, you guys have heard me mention the Pioneer provisions. Flour, dry beans, rice, so back to rice and beans, sugar. My grandmother said during the Depression there was 2 things that were short, sugar and meat. So that's why I'm always mentioning the meat. Now what I did is I just packed my freezer full of cheap meat. That way if the power goes out or something, you know, I'm not going to be out that much money. Sugar, coffee, pork, it was salt pork. But I buy bacon ends at Albertsons because they're cheaper. And water. Got to have water. So let me give you a shot at this list. If you don't have it yet, write it somewhere if you don't need it now. And be determined to stockpile this. Also, I want to make a mention is, as of right now, they're saying the demand for coffee is outstripping the coffee. There's not enough coffee to really meet the demands. So, you know, there's still coffee at the Dollar Trees for $1. I would pick up one every time I was there. Okay, now back to the potato famine, 1845 to 1849. That's 4 years. Okay, the trade war has been going on basically since January. So the people relied on corn, oats, potatoes, wheat, and milk for survival. And what happened is the potatoes were failing, and in a short time, millions of people started starving. So we want to consider corn. If you have cornmeal, you can make cornbread. or you can make corn tortillas, oats. I located 10 pounds oats at Smart and Final for $10. Potatoes, I'm buying instant. I had a bad experience this week. My potatoes rotted within days. It was very, very hot. Wheat, you need wheat for bread. Do you want to know what is going to happen if people don't have bread? It's going to be bad. You're not going to have pizza. You're not going to have sandwiches. You're not going to have any bread stuff. And milk. That's really going to be bad too. If you have babies and if you don't have any milk, it's going to be very, very bad. Now, another thing, if you should, in your wildest dreams, think you might have to evacuate, get your food packed up so you can take it with you, because we don't know what's going to happen in the future. Okay, now I want to talk to you about the Chuck Wagon stockpile, the 30 days. Beans, again, flour, cornmeal, molasses can be used like sugar. You can use it in your beans. You can use it as a sweetener. Vinegar, I buy vinegar by the gallons. I use it in cleaning. I mix 1/2 detergent, dish detergent, 1/2 vinegar. And if you rub it onto your shower or bathtub about 10 minutes, it will cut through all the grime. Or if you have a grimy mess and you mop it around, you'll be able to mop it right up. I also employ bleach, detergent, and boiling water. That works good. Salt pork, I use bacon ends. Dried apples or raisins, so basically dried fruit, which makes sense because they're going to last a lot longer. So if you have a little pile of raisins on your oatmeal, or if you can make applesauce if you have apples. So you want to stockpile, now I have no success in dehydrating any raisins. I might try it. Cheese, I buy Velveeta when it's on sale. Let's see, I think I still have them down here. I'm in the midst of the minimizing. So I keep my eye out for these. And I bought these at Walmart, and this is going to make me a lot of macaroni and cheese. So this is a good way to maximize your pasta and to get a little dairy. Oh, well, I don't like Velveeta cheese. Okay, well, try to imagine no cheese. Also, you can put a little cheese in your potato soup. That's going to help too. Onions, I find dry to be good. And potatoes. So let me give you a shot of this, in case you're new. Okay, I have one more thing I want to talk to you guys about, and if you have any comments, we would like to hear your comments. I like my followers' comments. First of all, my followers leave really nice, helpful comments, and you never know. Oh, I wanted to, all right, now. Okay, I want to talk to you about Jerry Falwell Jr. Okay, he was caught up in a scandal, and he had to resign. And he's like an evangelical of a huge church. Okay, this came to no surprise to me because I was expecting it. What I'm expecting, well, let me say first of all, okay, one, he was guilty and he got caught, which probably is what happened, but we don't know for sure. Two, he wasn't actually guilty and he got caught. Or three, he was guilty and he got blackmailed. This is where I'm kind of leading. Next month, on the 20th of September, documents are going to be signed by the Pope. And what we can expect is we can expect all these leaders of the big churches. It's dangerous once you are a pastor of these mega churches. A lot of people believe they're bought out. I'm not saying Jerry Falwell Jr. was bought out, but it's strongly possible that he was being blackmailed. So what I would expect is also he could have been used like a message to the other evangelists. If you don't want this happening to you, you better do what we tell you to do. Because there's a strong possibility behind these scenes, somebody is pulling the strings. So between now and September, if these pastors don't bend to what they want them to do, we might see a few more of these pastors going down. There are some Christians, possibly they couldn't get to him, possibly, you know, and if they said, if you don't do what we tell you, we're going to harm your family, would do it. But there are other pastors who would not do it. We're going to disgrace you and your wife, and they would not do it. In the Adventist church, there was Christians in Africa, and they breached the pastor, and they said, tell your followers to come to the church, or we're going to murder your entire family and you. And he did it, and they were all murdered too. So there are some people who cannot withstand this kind of pressure. I'm not saying Jerry Falwell Jr. wasn't guilty, but I am saying there could be more than meets the eye in this situation, because it really was kind of weird, you have to admit that. So if you guys have any comments on that situation, I would like to hear your comments. And also, just on closing, there was a woman who was caught in the act of adultery. And the Jewish leaders wanted to stone her and kill her. Written in red, Jesus said, let the one among you who is without sin cast the first stone. And pretty soon there was nobody left. So I just want to say that, you know, if he's removed, you know, he probably deserved it. But strongly possible that, you know, they are blackmailing people. That goes for politicians as well. I think that was what was really, really behind the Epstein thing. He was gathering blackmail on people to control people and make those people do what they wanted them to do. Okay, you guys, please like, comment, and subscribe, and God bless you all.